I'm Shaniqua,
Hi, I'm Heather.
and this is video 2, which is a continuation of our first discussion and introduction to the 4 Room Herbals monthly herb box.
Yes. Um, when you're burning the sage, or even when you're burning the Palo Santo, they're, I don't want to say much easier than burning the resin because I feel that gives a negative connotation to the resin, but they're easier than burning the resin.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
less tools. All you need is fire.
Right.
Now, just for safety's sake, even if you're going to burn a smudge stick, which this is what they are typically called, in this shape is called a smudge stick. You would always want to have with you a heat resistant vessel. So it could be a plate, it could be a terracotta pot, it could be a metal container. You want to stay away from glass unless it's Pyrex.
Okay.
You want heat resistant, because remember, as soon as we light this on fire, it will then be on fire.
Right.
So you would just simply take the vessel, hold it underneath the stick, if you're choosing to use a stick, and then as you were to go around, I have a fan, a handy dandy fan right here. Fire always needs its friend air.
Okay.
It's a very important part of any clearing that you do, because in order to get the things to smoke, you need to add in your own air.
Okay.
So you would just simply and gently do this. So I am going to light what's in the bowl.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the difference here. This is in a stick form.
Okay.
Now, people will ask all the time, oh my goodness, how long is this going to burn? This is going to take me forever to clear my house. No, you don't have to use this entire stick. This could take you quite a long time to get through. What you would do is when you were done, and it's still on fire, but you're done, you would simply put it in either like a dish. You can put it, kind of rub it till it goes out. Or an easier way is to have a dish of sand, and then you can put it in there again and rub it until it goes out.
Okay.
Some people would use water. I would stay away from that because then you have to go through the drying process again.
Right.
You risk mold and mildew.
Okay.
I know when we think fire, we think water, but you can use other things to put it out.
Okay.
Okay? But you really want to make sure that you have it out. You're going to want to touch it before you leave it. Never do any of this without supervising it.
Gotcha.
So, okay. Right here in this vessel, and this is something that's become pretty traditionally seen when we're talking about clearing, especially burning sage. It's the abalone shell with the, these are called cobra stands.
Yeah. And these are just beautiful.
Yeah.
So gorgeous.
And the fun thing, just a little bit of background, the fun thing about these stands, it also, 4 Rooms Herbal, I think, talking about the way this does the 4 elements. Earth, because you have the wood. Air, because you have the smoke. Fire, because you have the fire. And water, because you have the shell. It brings in all 4 elements to do your clearing. So.
And I should just mention really quickly that that this setup is not included in the box, but Heather does sell this at Blessed by the Beach, which I'll be sure to include the link below the video.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks. All right, so we're going to now ignite the sage so you can see how easy it is to burn. Again, the shell is heat resistant. I would keep my eye on where the holes are, but right now it is perfectly centered. So you would just take your lighter and just hold it to the herb. Now it's going to hopefully flame up a bit. You can kind of see that. And you just keep igniting it till you feel like enough of it is on fire. And just gently blow. If you go in there and you blow really hard, it's going to go everywhere.
Right.
So you can see, you can see right now where it's red. That's fire. So just be really careful as you're burning this. If you have ceiling fans on, if you have standing fans or box fans, or even like window unit air conditioning systems, if you're going to walk in front of them and that air is going to blow right on there, you need just to be very careful because it's going to blow the sage.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest differences between using a bundle and using just loose leaf.
Yeah.
Because it will blow more than this will. And now you're just getting clear on your own. Look at that.
I know. I'm like, I feel it. Thank you.
So, yes. And again, you don't need to take the stand around with you, but you would just take your fan, and you can see how just a little bit of fanning produces a lot more smoke. And again, I'm just keeping my eye on it, sorry, I'm ignoring you a little bit, but that way I know if I'm blowing too hard, nothing's moving. It's really important that while we're clearing out the negative energy, we don't accidentally create a really negative experience.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that wouldn't be too good.
right.
Yeah.
And I guess now would be the time to talk about, because we haven't really said that yet, about
Yeah.
why we clear.
Why we clear, yes.
So, one of the biggest reasons why I clear in my home, I'm the parent to 2 teenagers.
Yes.
And so that brings a lot of chaos. I love
Yes.
you if you're watching this. But it just does. There's a lot of bickering, a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
And so the air can get heavy in the home.
Yeah.
And that's what we use any of the things we're talking about today to kind of combat. People watch movies or we see TV shows where they're like, oh, I'm going to go ghost busting and I'm going to use this smudging and
Yeah.
I'll get the evil spirit out. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's not what this will do. But if you use this, again, well, not again, I haven't told you yet, you need to open window or an open door,
Mm-hmm.
because if we're chasing out something negative,
Mm-hmm.
we want it to have someplace to go.
Right.
We don't want it to get stuck in a corner or get stuck in another room.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were actively asking this sage to clear, we would want an egress.
Okay.
So even if it's cold outside, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so I typically like to clear my space. I think of it kind of like as a clean and clear. So a lot of times on Saturday mornings when we wake up and we go through a deep house cleaning, then after that is when I'll clear.
Yes.
Or if someone's been sick in the house for a couple of days, which luckily doesn't happen often, but if there is sort of this, ickiness that seems to start making its way around, I like to keep the house clear then. Or if like there's just, seemingly everyone comes home in a foul mood one day, or, everyone's just like, it's a little chaotic, like you said, and it's like, okay, we just need a reset.
Yes.
And so that's when I'll break out either my white sage or my Palo Santo. So,
Yes. It's kind of like a magic eraser for energy.
yeah, oh, it's awesome.
It just,
It
goes and
it
clears
just
it out.
changes everything.
Yes.
So speaking of changes, I know that there are differences between the vibrational energy
yes.
of white sage and Palo Santo. I mean, some
Yes.
people may say, when do I use Palo Santo and when do I use white sage? And kind of what is the difference between the two?
Absolutely.
So if someone came to you and said, Heather, what is the difference? And how do I know which one to use?
Well, what I would say is, first and foremost, how I answer that all the time,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of goes against what I'll say in a minute, but I don't mean for it to, it's your personal preference.
Okay.
Because whatever you prefer
Okay.
is going to work better for you
Mm-hmm.
than if you're going through the motion of something you don't like.
Right.
So if someone comes to me and they're like, I hate the smell of white sage, I hate the way it feels in my house, I can't stand it, I'm certainly not gonna say, oh, but you need to use it,
Right.
because that's not gonna do any good.
Right.
So I would suggest something else.
Okay.
If they come and they say, I like white sage, it's great, but Palo, oh, it's my favorite, I adore it. Well, they're going to have a better working relationship with that herb. So
Right.
of course,
Okay.
that one's going to do much better.
Okay.
The sage itself is sort of the clearer. It's going to come in with that erasing activity. It's going to be able to push things out of the
Okay.
corners, get things moving, get things out of the house.
Okay.
I like to think of Palo as that beautiful, then you fill in the space that you
Okay.
just created. It comes in because Palo Santo translates to holy wood.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just brings in that holiness, that reverence, that vibration you want your house to be functioning at.
Mm-hmm.
We just took that negative energy out, let's put that positive energy back in.
Okay. So it's possible to do a white sage and a Palo Santo right after each other. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, yes.
I didn't know that. I normally just kind of stick to one or the other.
Oh, you can come,
Yeah.
combine them all.
But that would make sense because I tend to do a white sage on the weekends. But for my Palo Santo, I do that almost every day. Just
Yes.
whenever I think about it, really, I may light a little piece. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's so amazing. I'm so excited for you to experience this in your boxes. Okay, all right. So now that Heather showed you how to properly and safely burn your white sage, I'll just demonstrate how to properly and safely burn your Palo Santo. So you'll want to take a lighter, And you want to hold it until the Palo Santo can hold its own flame, which may take a couple of seconds. And also, which is why a longer lighter is so much better, so that you don't end up burning your fingers. These sticks come in different sizes. So some are thicker, some are longer. If you get a smaller, thinner piece, it'll take fire a lot quicker. If it's a thicker piece like this, it may take a little longer than a couple of seconds.
Well, and you'll find that once you've burned it, it does take longer to relight it.
Yeah, this is true. So, I feel like we're almost there.
I just
Isn't that heavenly?
It's so beautiful.
Okay, there we go. So now that it can hold its own flame, it may go out on its own, but after a couple of seconds, if it doesn't, which in this case it did, you can just gently blow on it. And now you have your holy stick that you can just put in a bowl, like a ceramic.
Yes.
And we'll just place it in here. And then do you fan?
I do.
Okay.
Again, when you have the Palo Santo, the longer, the more air you add, the longer it's going to burn.
Okay.
It's just the science of fire.
Yeah.
So you can keep it going. Now, there's two kind of schools of thought when
Okay.
it comes to burning sage and palo,
Mm-hmm.
even resin. But mostly you'll hear it when you're talking about these two items. When they're being used to clear, people will say, it keeps going out, it's gotta be really bad in here.
Mm-hmm.
And people will say, it keeps going out, the science of fire, I just have to relight it.
Yeah.
I go with both.
Yeah.
And the reason why, what I know about the way these things stay lit is you do have to relight them. That
Mhm.
may have absolutely nothing to do with your space or your person that you're clearing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. It just has to do with the plant material.
Okay.
But I would say, I mean, I have been in situations where it is an indication of just how thick the energy is in the home
Okay.
or of that person.
Right.
And that, for the most part, isn't something you just do on your own.
Okay.
That's when you,
Yeah, you call it a,
you call in a friend.
you call it a friend. You call it a Heather.
Yes.
That's when you call it a Heather. Okay. And so, and you just let this burn until it goes out on its own, which again, it depends on how thick or thin the stick is. And it will typically burn, you know, at least for 5 to 10 minutes or so.
Yes.
And for us in the size of our house, that's a pretty good amount. If you have a bigger house or bigger space to clear or a bigger job, then, you know, you'd certainly have to relight it a couple of times.
Yes. And palo actually comes in several different forms. You can get it in the full stick,
Mm-hmm.
but you can actually also find it sometimes where it's shaved or chipped.
Yes.
And then sometimes you find it pulverized. So while, you know, if you I'm just sharing that information, so
Yeah.
if you see it somewhere you don't think, oh, that's fake.
Right.
You really can find it in different ways.
Okay.
But again, with both white sage and palo, you want to make sure you're getting them from reputable sources
Right.
that are making sure that it's gathered through sustainable harvesting and that we're replenishing the supply.
Yes.
So,
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
This is Heather Dancer, Blessed by the Beach. Link is below. And the link below also for you to order a 4 Room Herbals monthly herb box. So there's nothing like having an herbal class in your home, and that's what this box is. All right. Thanks.